We often assume that those who lived before us were inferior in intelligence and accomplishments, especially when we think of ancient medicine. But modern archaeologists are discovering surprising things about antiquated health care. In some cases, it's as bad as we imagined. In others, the philosophies and methods of health care are strikingly sophisticated for earlier times. In this video we are going to go over the top 10 surprising discoveries about ancient health care. Number 10. Egyptians had the first governmental health care system. At least in terms of health care, ancient Egypt was quite similar to modern developed countries. In Deir el-Medina, an ancient village in the mountains above the Valley of the Kings, written records and physical remains reveal evidence of the first documented governmental health care system. The site was first excavated in the early to mid-1900s, but the bodies in the tombs were left largely untouched because osteology, the study of skeletons, was stuck in its early stages. In 2012, archaeologists returned to study the human remains in greater detail. Their findings confirmed the written records. The workers at Deir el-Medina were entitled to take paid sick days or get free checkups at the Egyptian equivalent of a clinic. However, like so many modern employees, these ancient workers with comprehensive care plans often felt pressured to continue working even while sick. Number 9. Ancient Peru had the first limb surgery. Ancient medical practitioners used a technique called trepanation, which opens a hole in the skull of a living person by drilling, surgical scraping, or sawing. It treated cases of head trauma as well as some other ailments. In 2004, anthropologists from the University of Central Florida found that shamans in the Chachapoya region of ancient Peru also used trepanation techniques on patients' lower legs at the fortress of Kulap. This is the first documented evidence of trepanation used on another part of the body. The Chachapoya area was inhabited from approximately 800–1535. Their shamans were quite advanced, successfully performing complex surgeries like amputations that clearly healed. As for trepanation on legs, the remains of two otherwise healthy men in this region showed holes drilled in their lower leg bones, probably to relieve fluid buildup from infected injuries. Although unlikely, it's also possible that bone was removed from these men while they were alive to create amulets or pendants. Number 8. Ancient doctors also treated PTSD. We now have evidence of ancient soldiers in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD). As early as 1300 BC, researchers from Anglia Ruskin University found medical texts about doctors trying to diagnose and treat warriors from the Assyrian dynasty who experienced sleep disturbances, flashbacks, and depression, accounts eerily similar to those from modern combat veterans. The ancient warriors described hearing and seeing ghosts talking to them, who would be the ghosts of people they'd killed in battle, and that's exactly the experience of modern-day soldiers who've been involved in close hand-to-hand combat, said researcher Jamie Hacker Hughes, director of Anglia Ruskin's Veterans and Families Institute. Number 7. Ancient medicine chest holds 2,000-year-old eye pills. Usually, our knowledge of ancient medicine comes from texts recovered at archaeological sites. But these writings may lack the details and accuracy needed for us to fully understand how ancient medicine worked. That's why archaeologists became so excited by the discovery of the contents of a medicine chest from a Roman shipwreck near Tuscany around 120 BC. Archaeologists believe the vessel, named Relito del Pizzino, sank during a bad storm near the ancient Etruscan city of Populonia, a key shipping port on the Mediterranean Sea at that time. In recent years, excavators have recovered lamps, glass cups, and other artifacts. But the most interesting discovery was the medical equipment of a Roman doctor who may have been aboard the ship. Although his medicine chest appeared to be destroyed, a mortar, surgery hook, and bleeding cup survived. Archaeologists also found 136 wooden drug vials and several pyxides, sealed tin containers with 2,000-year-old medicinal tablets in them. Amazingly, the circular, green tablets were completely dry, and modern technology has now identified their ingredients. In archaeology, the discovery of ancient medicines is very rare, as is knowledge of their chemical composition. Number 6. Ancient rich people had a disease of modern poor people. Considered the first family in Italy during the Renaissance, the Medicis were the affluent rulers of Tuscany. But money didn't save their young children from developing rickets, a disease most often linked to poverty in the modern world, especially in polluted, urban areas where residents don't get much exposure to sunlight. Ironically, the Medici's wealth was probably a major factor in their children developing this serious illness. Rickets is caused by a vitamin D deficiency that softens the bones in children, resulting in bowed legs from trying to walk on weakened bones. Arm bones can also become curved, especially if the child tries to crawl. In the 16th century, 6 of the 9 Medici children who were studied definitely suffered from rickets. 5-year-old Filippo even had a skull deformity from the disease. With their wealth, it would seem likely that the Medicis could afford the foods, such as cheese and eggs, that would provide vitamin D for their children. So researchers were initially baffled by these findings. Number 5. The ancients knew about donkey milk before we did. In recent years, donkey milk has been touted as a healthy alternative for children allergic to specific proteins in cow's milk. For many children, allergies are also a problem with traditional alternatives such as soy, goats, sheep's, and even formulated milk. Donkey milk is more like human milk. Although clinical studies need to be done, some sufferers of psoriasis, eczema, and asthma have also experienced surprisingly good results from drinking donkey milk or using soap derived from it. Even Pope Francis has revealed that he received donkey milk as a baby. But the benefits of donkey milk are simply a rediscovery of what our ancestors already knew. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, prescribed donkey milk for many conditions from nosebleeds to snake bites. Supposedly, Cleopatra bathed in it for cosmetic purposes. The ancient Greeks fed it to their kids, while the ancient Romans used it to soften their skin. However, donkey milk is much harder to produce than cow's milk. While a cow has 4 teats that can produce about 10 liters (2.5 gallons) of milk per day, a donkey only has 2 teats that produce about 1 liter (0.25 gallons) per day. Number 4. Ancient medical texts written on bamboo strips. On a construction site in Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province in China, workers discovered 920 bamboo strips that served as medical texts for the treatment of people and horses approximately 2,000 years ago. These ancient texts belong to the school of Bian Ke, a medical pioneer who focused on diagnosing disease by taking a patient's pulse and doing a physical examination. At that time, bamboo strips were often used for written texts. In China, Bian Ke is a legendary physician who is credited with using anesthesia and performing the world's first organ transplant. The 920 bamboo strips include 184 strips of veterinary medicine for horses and 736 strips divided into 9 different medical books for humans. In addition to pulse taking, some of the books discuss surgery, dermatology, internal medicine, ophthalmology, traumatology, and gynecology. Some of the treatments include taking bull's urine for jaundice and chilies for headaches. Number 3. The Baghdad battery may have been an analgesic. About 75 years ago, German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig, director of the Baghdad Museum, announced the discovery of the 2,000-year-old Baghdad battery. These batteries were small terracotta jars with copper cylinders and iron rods inside. Koenig believed these batteries may have been used to electroplate gold onto silver items. When linked together, they could produce as much as 4 volts of electricity. These batteries were conservatively dated from 250 BC to AD 640. However, as we've discussed before, these artifacts were out of place. It simply didn't make sense that they would exist at the historical time and place in which they were discovered. For many people, Koenig's explanation was unsatisfactory, so the battery's purpose remained a mystery. Enter Paul T. Kaiser, a researcher from the University of Alberta who proposed a medical theory in the Journal of Near Eastern Studies in 1993. He believed that the Baghdad battery may have been a medical device used to alleviate pain, much like the ancient Greeks numbed an inflamed foot by standing on an electric eel until the pain went away. Kaiser thought it possible that these devices were used in places like Mesopotamia where there were no electric fish. Number 2. Blackbeard made health care a priority. In 1717, the notorious pirate Blackbeard easily captured his flagship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, from the original French crew because they were mostly sick or dead from illness. However, Blackbeard controlled the ship for less than a year. In early 1718, the vessel got stuck on a sandbar in North Carolina. Taking some of his best men and almost all of his stolen goods, Blackbeard abandoned the ship and most of his crew. But he was later killed by the Royal Navy in November 1718. Blackbeard was healthy enough to fight hard, as he tried to board an enemy ship during that final skirmish. He stood his ground and fought with great fury, till he received 25 wounds, and 5 of them by shot, wrote Captain Charles Johnson about Blackbeard in 1724. At length, as he was cocking another pistol, having fired several before, he fell down dead. According to historical records and newly discovered artifacts, it seems that Blackbeard made a great effort to keep his crew healthy. Many things could happen at sea, such as wounds, diseases, burns, toothaches, and amputations. To Blackbeard, health care was such a priority that he forced 3 surgeons from the former French crew of the Queen Anne's Revenge to stay on board the captured ship. Number 1. Siberia was a sophisticated surgery center. Archaeologists were astounded to discover that the ancient nomads of Siberia created a major skull surgery center about 2,300 to 2,500 years ago. Examining 3 skulls, 2 men, 1 woman, from the Altai Mountains, a team of modern neurosurgeons, archaeologists, and anthropologists found that the ancient Siberian surgeons expertly wielded one primitive tool to scrape the skull with sophisticated techniques. They also appeared to adhere to the Hippocratic Corpus, a set of medical texts devised in Greece between the 6th and 4th centuries BC. One of the male patients had a blood clot from head trauma that probably caused nausea, headaches, and other symptoms. With that being said, here we come to the end of our video. I hope you like this video. If so, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, so you never miss any video. See you in the next video. Till then, take care. Thanks for watching.